Okay, welcome to the video for today. We're going to be talking about adding linear expressions, lesson 4.5 today. So let's look at the first example together. Okay, so this first example, I see that x plus 5 is in parentheses, and we're adding the 2x plus 3, which is also in parentheses. When I add these, there's parentheses, so I like to eliminate the parentheses first. But if I think about, there's really nothing in front here, so I don't need to distribute. If I wanted, I could distribute the imaginary 1 that would be here, but 1 times x and 1 times the 5 will not change anything. So I can just bring these down without using the parentheses. And the same thing over here. I have a positive here, which just implies a positive 1. So if I multiply these, the 2x plus 3, by a positive 1, it won't change anything. So I could set up area models and put the 1 on the outside, but since it won't change anything, I'm just going to rewrite what's inside of the parentheses and add my 1 in front of the x. Okay, so now that I don't have my parentheses, I can look to say, okay, I'm adding these things together, so I'm looking for some like terms. The first thing that I'm looking for is usually a variable, so I see that I have a 1x and a positive 2x. So I'm going to put those two together. 1x plus 2x gives me 3x. Then I see my constants. I have a positive 5 and a positive 3. Those don't have a variable. They're both constants. I can put them together. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So I wrote those down with the negative 4x minus 3 minus 5x minus 2. Now I'm ready to go ahead and look for like terms. Again, I like to start with the x, so I see a negative 4x out front, and then I also have the minus 5x, so I can put those in my calculator. Remember, we cannot put the variable in our calculator. We just know that they are like terms, that's why we can put them together. So negative 4 minus 5 in my calculator gives me a negative 9. And then again, the reason I put them together is because they were both x terms, so I bring the x down. Then I have negative 3 as a constant. I can combine that with my negative 2, which is also a constant. They don't have a variable. Negative 3 minus 2 gives me a negative 5. So next to the negative 9x, I'm going to put minus 5, and that's my answer there. Negative 9x minus 5. So make sure you put a circle around that. Again, you do not have to highlight inside of that circle. I just like to draw your attention to the fact that that is my answer. Okay, number 3, we have a negative 7x plus 2, and we're adding the x minus 4. Again, we see that we have parentheses, but there's nothing in front. An imaginary 1 would be there, and I don't need to multiply. It won't change anything. So I could multiply, I could draw out my area models, but I don't have to. So I'm just going to bring down what's inside of my parentheses without the parentheses to remind myself that now I'm looking for like terms. So like terms, I see a negative 7x and a positive 1x. Again, I go with x first because I'm trying to keep it in standard form. Negative 7 plus 1, I can put in my calculator to give me negative 6. Can't put the x in, but I know that the reason I put them together is because they were both x terms. So I bring the x down. Okay, next like terms, I have a constant, positive 2, and a constant, negative 4. Okay, so I can put those two constants together. 2 minus 4 gives me a negative 2. So my final answer here is this negative 6x minus 2. All right, let's do another one. Okay, the next one, I have a negative 7x minus 1 in parentheses, and we're adding a negative x minus 2. So again, imaginary 1 out front really isn't going to change anything, so I can just bring all of my terms down. I have a negative 7x minus 1, and then I have minus, it's just an x, but I'm going to sneak in that 1x, so I remember that that is actually 1x that I need to deal with. Okay, then we're looking for our like terms. So I look for my x's first. I have a negative 7x, and I have a negative 1x. highlighting them because they're both x variables. In my calculator, I can put -7 minus 1. Can't put the x in, but I know that they were both x's. That's why I put them together. So I'm going to put the -8x as my answer. So -7 minus 1 is -8. They were both x's, so I put the x. Then next I see -1 and then -2. These are both constants, so I'm going to put those in my calculator. -1 minus 2, and I get -3. So my final answer, when I write it, is -8x minus 3. And we put a circle around that. Okay, number 5 here says we need to find the perimeter. So perimeter, if you don't know what the word perimeter means, it's going to make this question very difficult to answer. So your secret message for today is, I'm not writing it, but I'm asking you to, at the bottom of the page where you see all that empty space, I want you to write perimeter, and next to it, write add all sides. So you're writing that underneath the heading where it says adding linear expressions lesson 4-5. You see lots of space. I want you to write perimeter means add all sides. Okay, so if I know that I'm adding all the sides up, what I could do first is just say, well, we have 3 sides to this triangle. I'm going to add the 3 sides together. So just kind of taking them out exactly the way I see them, I can write them with the parentheses around. It doesn't matter which order you start with. I'm just going to start with the 2x minus 3 and then add the 9x plus 4 and add the 9x plus 4. So to start off, I just wrote them all out exactly the way I saw them with the parentheses. So they see imaginary 1 in front will not change anything here. This plus is just like a +1. +1 will not change anything here. +1 here, again, won't change anything. So I'm just going to bring down all of my terms, and I won't need the parentheses anymore. So then I can just rewrite all of my terms. I have the 2x minus 3 plus the 9x plus 4 plus 9x plus 4. Now I'm ready to go ahead and highlight my like terms. So I see I have a 2x. Remember, like terms have the same variable with the same exponent. So I have this 9x, 2x, and another 9x. They all have the x variable, so those can all be combined. So 2 plus 9 plus 9 gives me 20x. And then when I look at my other terms, they're all constants, numbers by themselves. Remember to keep the sign in front is included in my highlighting. So I have a -3 plus 4. We can put that all in our calculator, and we end up with +5. So my answer, the perimeter, is 20x plus 5. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so again, in number 6, we see this word, find the perimeter. You cannot answer these questions if you don't know what perimeter was. So perimeter means add up all the sides. So this time, go ahead and write that underneath. Add up all the sides. I want you to get in the habit of knowing when we see perimeter, we need to add up all of our sides. So my sides here, well, if I look, I only really see 2 sides labeled for me, but this is a rectangle. So that means that this other side is the same as this side. So 4x plus 1 could go here, and a 5x plus 1 could go here. So I'm going to add those in. So then I see I have the 4x plus 1 on the side and the 5x plus 1 on the top. So now that I have them all labeled, I can go ahead and write the addition of all my sides. So you'll see here that I wrote the 4x plus 1 plus the 5x plus 1 plus the 4x plus 1 plus the 5x plus 1. Now, again, you could even add in the ones if you wanted. This is implying there's just one of each of these sides, but we're just multiplying by 1 here, so the ones won't change anything. So I really am just going to add these sides all together. So multiplying by the +1 in front will not change anything. I can just rewrite all my terms. So I just have this 4x plus 1 plus 5x plus 1 plus 4x plus 1 plus 5x plus 1. So I just wrote everything without needing the parentheses anymore. So now I'm looking for some like terms. So let's see, I have all my x variables here. So I've got a 4x plus 5x plus 4x plus 5x, all highlighted in the same color because they are all like terms. So 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5. Remember, we can't put the variable in our calculator, but we can put the number. So 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5 ends up giving me 18. The reason I could put them all together is because they were x variables. And then I look for my constants. I have a 1, another 1, another 1, and another 1. So we can do our calculator if we need to. We have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That equals 4. So my final answer here, the perimeter, remember perimeter is adding up all my sides. The perimeter is this 18x plus 4. Okay, so hopefully you learned a lot about perimeter and about what this looks like when we add linear expressions. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.